Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Stay Grounded podcast. My name is Jana. I'm your host, and today I'm going to be going over our last interview with Mr. Allen Brouwer and all of the takeaways from that amazing chat with him. So New Year's is right around the corner. There's a lot of time for reflection and taking your life to the next level as you embark into 2018 and thinking about the things you're going to leave behind. And so I hope that this reflection of mine helps you sort of anchor yourself into some of the positive changes that you can create for yourself as you go into the new year. One of the biggest things that I took away from Allen's chat with me was how his rock bottom experience made him take complete ownership of where he was in his life. And I love Allen's story so much because, he came from nothing. He had negative money in his bank account. And I think that when you take someone like that, and then in a year and a half, he won Forbes 30 under 30. So just think about that transformation. And the biggest thing I took away was the fact that he just told himself this was never going to happen again. He was never going to let himself feel like this ever again. I think that's a key word, let himself. So he recorded a video and shared it with the world and took 100% control of all of it. And I think that that's one of the biggest things I took away is how I'm applying that to my own life moving into the new year is for all those things that I've put off in my life, whether it be quitting anything or wanting to try something new or create a positive change in my life. And I haven't done it yet. And believe me, there are a lot of things that I want to improve in my life that I just haven't done because I keep pushing it off, or it's easier to do something else, or I just haven't had a reason to, is the power of accountability. He told the world, he shot a video of himself saying, this is the last time I'm ever going to feel like this, and then shared it. He put it on YouTube. That is so amazing. That one concept of just putting it out there, or the fact that when he was starting his businesses before, when he was a quote unquote entrepreneur in his own words, he went through and had an accountability partner who he did work with, who ended up turning into his business partner. But I think the power of accountability is really, really important. And if you can't do things on your own, implement systems that can allow you to take the first step. And that's all you need to do. If one of your New Year's resolutions going into the New Year is to get in the gym and lose some weight, don't worry about losing the weight. Just worry about showing up at the gym. Worry about taking that first step. And don't try and do everything on day one. Take small steps, go in there and, for example, when I first started running again, I used to hate running. But for me, when I started running again, day one, when I ran, I actually did maybe way less than what I was capable of doing. I actually, almost walked a couple of miles as I was running. And then the next day I ran a little bit faster. And then the next day I ran a little bit faster and a little bit faster. And then eventually, when you just get into the rhythm of seeing yourself do something better over time, you start to get confidence and you start to get positivity. You start feeling good about yourself. So you start doing it more and more and you start going harder and harder. And eventually you can get to the place where you want to be. But it takes small steps. So as you embark on your new goals, take Allen's lesson of taking complete ownership of where you are and implement some accountability. If you need to go with somebody, go with somebody. One of the best tricks I used was if I don't show up in the gym or if I don't do something, I had to donate $500 to a cause that I really hated. Something like just something that I just didn't believe in, and I had to donate $500 and I didn't want to do that. So, I told my friend this and he was like, if you don't do this, you're going to have to donate $500 to this cause. And so, I didn't want to do that. And so I just kept doing what I was supposed to do. And that made me motivated. So use the power of accountability. It's a powerful thing. The next biggest thing I took away from him and the conversation with Allen was front loading your day with the most important stuff. And we talk a lot about this in JavaPresse through our emails and through our content, but really taking care of yourself is a process. And sometimes it can feel like a burden, especially when you have a lot of stuff going on in your life. And so, one of the biggest things I realized just through my own personal journey and Allen reinforced was the fact that there's only two parts of your day you can really control. You can control the morning, when you wake up, how you start your day, and you can control the end of your day, what you do before you go to bed, what you say before you go to bed, and how you prepare yourself to sleep. Those are the only two parts. Everything in the middle is chaos. I can't tell you how many times I planned to get something done, and then all of a sudden, I get a flat tire, or all of a sudden my boss throws something at me when I used to work full time. You just can't control what happens. So I love Allen's way of front loading the most important stuff that makes him be the best he can be. He puts himself first. So in the beginning, as soon as he wakes up, he creates like almost like a temple for himself, and he anchors himself in this positivity and all the things that make him great first thing in the morning. So whether it be mindset, he talks a lot about meditation, and I'm going to touch on that in a second. But with him, it's, whether it be emotionally, spiritually, physically, he works out. Everything he does is done first thing in the morning, so that all the other times that he's got throughout the day, the different blank spaces that he got throughout the day, that can be filled with things that aren't as stressful. I think trying to cram in a workout, at 3:30 in the afternoon just seems stressful. To me, at least, it seemed really stressful, because you have a long day at work and then you're like, man, I don't want to work out today. And I think that's why most people actually lose sight of their New Year's resolutions. It's because it's put off as like an afterthought. And so once it becomes an afterthought, it becomes something that's easy to replace. And once you replace it, you actually fall off the wagon. So put yourself first. Once you're full, you can, and he said this, his quote, "Once I'm full, I can give everyone everything else." Taking care of yourself first thing in the morning takes the pressure off to do all these things later in the day when you have very little control. And so this year, make sure, I would love to be a part of this journey and just help you put yourself first. Stay grounded in who you are and what's important to you, and go from there. Next thing, once you have an idea of what you want to do in the morning, and I think having a morning routine is really powerful. If you're listening to this podcast, you probably drink coffee in some way, shape, or form, and coffee is a part of your morning routine. I would continue that, keep the mornings as part of something that's sacred to you. And whatever you do, don't skip your routine. You can upgrade or downgrade it. That's something I learned from Allen. Like Allen does that when he's traveling. If he can't do anything else, he sticks to meditation and a cup of coffee. Those are his two anchors. For me, it's a cup of coffee and journaling. Those are the two things that I have to do. Or not even journaling, just write down something I'm grateful for. So 3 things I'm grateful for. And by the way, that's another really amazing tip that Allen mentioned was instead of, because I write down 3 things. I used to write down 3 things I'm grateful for every single day. And I got into this node where I was being very monotonous and just saying, I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for my health. I'm grateful for all this stuff. But once you do that over time, you start to water down the idea of gratefulness. And those things aren't actually just gratitude points. You're just checking off a box. So, when you're practicing gratitude, if you practice gratitude and you write things down, which I highly recommend, pick 1 thing you're grateful for each day and write down 3 things why you're grateful for those things. And I love that tip from Allen, and I've been practicing that now, and it's actually made me a lot happier. But whatever you do, find your non-negotiables. Find the 1 thing that makes you happy and do it every day in the morning before you start anything else. By taking care of yourself first with that 1 thing, you create a sense of connectedness with yourself, and you relieve the stresses that accompany the idea of moving just really fast, and work and family and kids and all the other stuff that might come into your life. Have 1 thing that keeps you grounded, and just do it and be with yourself. And even if it takes 5 minutes, keep the time to do it for yourself. Next is gratitude, and how he uses it to create a sense of positivity and focus in his life. A lot of times, and I love the way Allen puts, so I'm going to steal this from him, the hamster wheel of negativity. When you think negative thoughts and you feel negativity, or you show negative emotions towards somebody else, or ill thoughts, what ends up happening is that leads to another negative thought, and another negative negative thought. If you can't feel like there's a way to get yourself off of that negativity hamster wheel, the best way to do it is to just infuse gratitude instead of negativity. So when you feel negativity, catch yourself and try and flip that negative thought into something more positive, like gratitude. And that's where we're focusing on 1 thing you're grateful for and writing it down can really change that. By changing your mindset from sitting on a hamster wheel of negativity into a hamster wheel of positivity, you start to attract more positivity in your life. You start to attract more things happening in your life, and you start to manifest this attractive energy where ultimately 1 thing leads to another. So 1 positive thing leads to another. 1 positive thought leads to something, a positive interaction, a simple reframe of what you're experiencing. And I think that's a wonderful way to just stay happier every single day. And the last thing I want to leave you with before you go off and enjoy your New Year's celebrations and hang out with your loved ones this holiday season really is the only limitation you have is in your own mind. And those limitations, and this is what the biggest thing I took away from Allen, those limitations weren't put there by you. They were put there by other people over the years, and maybe not intentionally. Somebody might have just manifest the idea that, hey, you're not good enough to do this, or what makes you think you can be any different, or what makes you think you can do this, or what makes you think you can lose that weight. Oh yeah, that's great. Your New Year's resolution's this. That's funny. Like you might fear a lot of that, or you might hear a lot of that, but just know that the things that people say to you aren't necessarily coming from a place of malintention. They're just saying that because they see you as a certain way, and it's hard for them to see you as anything else. But unless you see yourself as something different, you won't be able to create that for yourself. So that's the last thing I want to leave you with is just believe in yourself. You got this going into the new year. It's been such and one thing I'm doing a practice this year, one of the biggest things I'm doing is instead of thinking about where you want to be, take a couple moments to think about how far you've come. Whether you believe it or not, you've made progress this year. And even if you don't feel like you've made progress, the fact that you're acknowledging the fact that you haven't made progress is progress in itself. So just know that you got this. Everyone here at JavaPresse, we believe in you, we support you, and we can't wait to help you continue manifesting and creating amazing moments through daily happiness in your own life. So hope you're enjoying your cup of coffee today and breathing in the goodness. Again, my name is Jana. I'm your host of the Stay Grounded podcast. And from everyone here at JavaPresse and my family, I hope you are having a wonderful holiday, and I wish you all a very happy new year. You can do anything you want this next year, and I hope I hope this message finds you well. So grateful for you guys. Cheers, and until next time, stay grounded. Thanks for joining us today on this episode of the Stay Grounded podcast brought to you by JavaPresse Coffee Company. My name is Raj, and I hope you found this interview helpful as you create your own ways to make daily happiness a priority. If you're interested in learning more about how your morning coffee can turn into a consistent source of joy in your life, visit www.javapresse.com to learn how our products can help you do that, and use the coupon code PODCAST for 10% off your purchase. Again, thanks so much for joining us. Stay grounded.